You think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but black.
This your boy Big O. We're back for another episode on my channel of Big O Fit. I want to thank all the ladies and gentlemen that have subscribed, commented, viewed, and liked my videos thus far. I hope my videos inspire you. I hope my videos give out good vibes and positivity, because there's too much negativity circulating around in the world, so I want to provide as much positivity as possible. With that being said, I want to dive in today. I posted a few days ago on my Instagram story about content y'all like to see. I said this in one of my shorts that I've already posted out. I'm open to suggestions. I'll be more than happy to make videos about. So the first one today, one of my old friends, if you're watching this, you already know who you are. He said he wanted me to do a video on body transformation, which is that's so easy to do, because I'm pretty sure I already have a couple of those already made. If I don't have those saved already, I can easily make one. And a video on multicultural black households. That's another easy one to make, and that's what I'm really going to be touching on today. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to dive in. In regards to diversity within blackness, if you're from the outside looking in as a non-black person, it's very easy to conform blackness to just one big cluster, just a singularity. Especially living in America, if you allow social media, your peers to brainwash you, they'll have you thinking that the only way to be black in America is to be hood. And honestly speaking, if you're an average-minded person, that's a reasonable way of thinking, because hood culture has had a very formative influence on pop culture. Look at all the famous trends, where even the way we dress, that's influenced by hip hop. The way people are trying to talk now, that are even people that are suburban, they're trying to talk hood now. Even the way we drive our cars, how we approach women and things like that, that's all influenced by hood culture. Hood culture has had a very formative influence on pop culture, I'll say it again. But you see, it's kind of created a dilemma now, because now people are brainwashed into thinking that that's the only way to be black. One, that couldn't be further from the truth, because that marginalizes our culture as a whole. Hood culture is only one aspect of blackness. Blackness is way more vast than just hood culture. On number two, this stereotype isn't just interculturally, black versus other races, their neighboring races in America. This stereotype is intraculturally as well. A lot of black men and women will question another black man's blackness, and this is my personal experience, because he talks proper, because he's not fitting all the stereotypes, because he had both parents in his household, because he's earning money, because he's never had to earn money by selling drugs or robbing people. And that's become a dilemma in black culture, because now we have brainwashed people into thinking that that's the only way to be black. And like I said, that couldn't be further from the truth, because that's an insult to blackness and its vastness. And if you look at this article right here, scientists have recently discovered that West Africans have a genetic construct that's incomparable to any other race on this planet, because their early ancestors breeded with a prehistoric race of people that were recently discovered by scientists. In this next slide right here, you'll see these Pacific Islanders, these Polynesian people, more specifically referred to as Melanesian people. These are black people that can produce long, blonde, curly hair. A lot of people think that this natural phenomenon cannot occur, but it very much so can. Aboriginal people found in Australia, New Zealand, that side of the world, are another race of people that are black that can produce long and curly hair. Some of them can even produce blonde hair and brunette hair. So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully I was very thorough in telling y'all about how diverse blackness is, and how the media and society in general, they have a misrepresentation, as I will put it, of blackness. Blackness is much more diverse, as I've stated many times. So, putting away that aspect, it's time to hop into my next aspect, I'm gonna talk about my personal experience growing up in a multicultural household. And when I say multicultural, I'm not talking about two different races per se. I'm talking about my dad, who was an African, a West African who came from Nigeria, and my mother, who was an African American who was actually from this state I'm currently in, North Carolina. So growing up with an African father as the head of my household, I would have to say that Africans definitely raise their children differently than American parents do. Africans are a bit overbearing, and in their minds, they really just think they want the best for you, and it's understandable because as an African immigrant, or any immigrant in general, um, you have to understand the toll that it takes to leave their country and come to America and start a new life. So they have this hustle culture mindset. They're like, look, I it took it was such a toll on me to build myself up coming to a new country, and a lot of Africans that come here do very well for themselves. So they have high expectations and standards for their children, which is a great thing. But here are a few of the cons of that. One, they want to live their dreams vicariously through their children. So they set these unrealistically high standards, and when those standards aren't met by their children, it leaves a lot of self doubt. The penalties are very high. It's like, oh, you didn't do this, blah 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 blah. Well, when I came to America, all this. So like I said, it's understandable, but it kind of leaves the child with self doubt a little bit because one, we can't live vicariously through our parents. We have to live our own life goals, dreams, and aspirations for ourselves. But growing up, your African parent will try to convince you that you need to do everything their way. They're very controlling and domineering. Like I said, these are cons now. Every pro has a con. Now the pros, I really do appreciate my dad for introducing God into my life. Um, I don't really necessarily agree with the way he did it because he the way he presented God to me was a bit overbearing, I would say. So as I grew older and when my parents eventually split up when I was 12, I had a lot of doubt in my faith. I wasn't necessarily I wouldn't say I definitely wasn't an atheist, but I really questioned the way why God would do certain things and why God was, this mean, overbearing God as my dad would portray him. And so, like I said, I found my faith again a few years ago because God proved himself to me. So I still believe in God. But like I said, African parents can be overbearing in that aspect. However, it does make you successful. When you do finally become successful, they'll be the first ones there to applaud you, parade around you, and gas you up. And one thing I do appreciate about my father now is that though he was overbearing as I was growing up, he's a very understanding person to talk to now. I can literally tell him anything and he won't hold any judgment over me, no penalties or anything like that. So I do appreciate the wisdom that he's instilling in me now as a young man. He's not nearly as overbearing anymore. He's much more understanding. Also, growing up with a Nigerian parent, it really exposes you to different parts of the world. Growing up, I remember watching Nigerian movies, Indian movies, of course, American movies, things like that. And because my dad was a foreigner, his circle attracted other foreigners. So you see a big melting pot of different cultures. I remember growing up eating different types of food from different countries. I remember eating Nigerian food, Indian food, Mediterranean food. Of course, my mom will cook her traditional American food. Even during Thanksgiving, we'll have a mixture of Nigerian food and American food. So I have a different taste palette of certain things, and also I feel like I view the world differently from certain people. People have a lot of stereotypes and preconceived notions, prejudices about different cultures because they weren't exposed to them at an early age. But I feel like because I was exposed to certain cultures as an early age, it really expunged all those prejudices. So I really don't, not gonna lie, I kind of have my I would just say I really don't, I'm very open minded to different cultures. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't have my preconceived notions about people, but it's more so based on the individual, not because of like their background or race. Mainly I have a preconceived notion or prejudice about someone based on how they carry themselves and based on their character due to how a person treated me with that same character in a past relationship or something like that. But as far as me having preconceived notions about a race, like I said, that was eliminated because I was exposed to different cultures growing up. So I'm not prejudiced to different cultures because I've seen those different type of cultures through my exposure growing up with an African father. Also, another thing, Africans, this is gonna be ironic, but there's kind of a divide between Africans and African Americans. Africans have their preconceived notions about African Americans. And I don't think this way, obviously, because like I said, I had an African and an African American parent in the household. So I had those two components of blackness combined. But my dad, he had his preconceived notions about African Americans, and he's not just him, just Africans in general. Like I said, like they first come to America, and like I tell you about the image that's personified in the media about African Americans. Africans eat that up, so now they have a preconceived notion when an African meets an African American, it's like, okay, you're a slacker. All you're gonna do is sleep around with different women. You're broke and blah 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 blah. And mind you, I tell you about the hustle culture Africans have because they literally had to build themselves from nothing coming to America. So when they see the image that's presented of African Americans coming here, they're like, "Oh snap! Like, really? That's really degrading to black culture. Like, I built myself from nothing, and you're over here slacking off." Like I said, this is a bigoted way of thinking now. I don't think like this, but this is how a lot of Africans and Nigerians think of African Americans. And a lot of African men have their preconceived notion about African American women as well. A lot of them perceive African American women as masculine and uncontrollable by men. They don't like the independence factor that African American women have, which I find, like I said, I find this bigoted, but this is how they think. They don't like the independence factor of how African American women can make their own money and not need a man in their life. And because the main reason why African men don't like this aspect is because African men are very domineering towards their women. They like submissive women that they can manipulate and kind of domesticate within their own house. So the biggest reason why they don't like African American women is because they can't control them. You know, that's just, of course, they're not going to come out and say that. But all right, with that being said, today I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully, my transparency gave you a little bit more insight as to who I am. I'm much more than just a brew who just lifts weights. So there will be more content like this in the future. Hopefully, my next video will be the body transformation. I'm gonna post some videos about mental health as well. More weightlifting videos, obviously. And like I said about the suggestions, I'll be reading those. I'll be going through those if y'all present more to me, and I'll be more than happy to accept those requests. But with that being said, please follow me on my social media platforms on the screen. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, and view my videos. Please tell your friends about me. I pray you have a blessed day. Please continue spreading positivity. I'll see y'all soon.